Hey everybody, good morning, good evening. Welcome to Against the Public for June 12th. I'm Dana Lane. Today we'll go through my top 3 Major League Baseball free plays for Tuesday, and then we'll wrap it up with an important discussion. Not necessarily a tip today, but a discussion about handling losses on a day-to-day basis. It's a very important psychological conversation to have. After the show, please go to Pickdawgz.com. I'll have my premium Major League Baseball card locked and loaded. You can jump on my single plays, or better yet, guys, I'll have a 3-pack up there for just $49.99. And of course, all my single plays and free plays, or single plays and my 3-pack, comes with our Pick Dawgz win guarantee that states you must profit or receive an immediate site credit for the purchase price. In addition, as many of you know, there's only one way to get every play that I send out, whether it's Major League Baseball, whether it's the National Hockey League Stanley Cup Finals, the NBA Finals, upcoming preseason football, every play that I send out for one low price, and that's by becoming an all-access member. And you can do that over the next 30 days for less than $11 a day, the next 90 days for less than $10 a day, or better yet, guys, jump on an annual all-access pass that gives you every play from now to this time next year for just $3.56 a day. That is by far the best offer that I have up there. It will take you through the NFL season next year, college football season. You know what we did in college and pro football, and of course college basketball, NBA, NHL next year. So it runs you right through everything. Jump on that annual all-access pass now, because we are building bankroll for football. Don't start doing it in August. Do it right now. So I appreciate everybody that has so far. And all-access members, 57% winners over the last 7 days. That's really all you can ask for. You can go to pickdawgz.com. Every pick is up there for better or worse. Everything is 100% transparent, which is why I love the site above all. In Major League Baseball, 55% winners over the last 7 days. Another profitable night in the bigs last night. And the National Hockey League, guys, please don't sleep on it. We only got a few games left. 65% winners in the NHL over the last 30 days. That's number one amongst cappers with at least 23 plays, and 56% winners over the last 90 days. That is incredible consistency, and that's really what your bankroll deserves. And I appreciate everybody that's been with me along the way. So let's roll our sleeves up. Let's get to work starting on Wednesday. Okay, on to your free plays. Remember, these are probable pitchers, so make sure that you do confirm in the morning or closer to game time. We'll start things off 2:10 Eastern Time. 9:11 and 9:12 is your rotation numbers. Toronto Blue Jays against the Milwaukee Brewers. Brewers minus $1.10, 8.5 over minus 16. Chris Bassett against Tobias Myers. And an interesting betting pattern to start early wagering in this one. It looks like 80% of the money is coming in on Toronto. Not only on the money line, but also on the run line. 54% of the money's coming in on the run line. So a lot of tickets so far on Toronto. And we talked about today. About how the culture in Toronto may not be that great, but then you kind of look up after today's win and you go, well, Toronto's won 10 of their last 15 games. They're a game under 500. They're 2 games out of a wild card spot. And maybe it appeared, and I did have people that are close to the organization confirm that, yeah, it wasn't great there for a while. But it does appear that maybe this is addition by subtraction in this organization with a couple guys, namely Biggio, who's been a guy that's been there for a very long time. And, of course, his dad was a Major League ball player, and that was a massive shakeup. And you never know what happens in these clubhouses, but Toronto very quietly has started to play well. But they are playing the Milwaukee Brewers, who have been playing well all season. They've won 11 out of the last 18. They split the first 2 games of this series. And I like to bet decent teams coming off a loss. And the Brewers have been a friend to the bettors all year long with 7.92 units won based on a 1-unit wager. And that is 6th in baseball. Only 5 other teams have won more for bettors this season against the money line than the Milwaukee Brewers. Chris Bassett, incredible over his last 4 starts, allowed 4 earned runs in 25 innings. That's a 1.44 ERA. However, those games were against Chicago White Sox twice, the Oakland A's, and the Pittsburgh Pirates, and against the Pirates, who, as on the pitching side, as good as maybe you might say anybody in baseball at this time, but offensively still struggling. But even in that game, that's the game where he gave up 3 earned runs in 5 innings. So he was hit a little bit by the Pirates. So that is impressive numbers, but not against impressive competition. I'm going to take Milwaukee minus $1.10. Game number 2, 6:35 Eastern Time, 9:17, 9:18 Atlanta Braves against the Baltimore Orioles. Orioles minus $1.22, 9 over minus 15. Spencer Schwellenbach versus Cade Povich. And of course, these guys, if you follow college baseball, you know they both went to the University of Nebraska, had an incredible year with the Huskers in 2021. And even though Schwellenbach has not found his way to the winner's circle yet, I really love to watch these young guys and their body language and their demeanors. And not when they're having success, is when they're having their failures is what I like to see. And look, Schwellenbach looks like a guy that belongs on a major league mound. Probably is a year there too early, earlier than probably Atlanta would like, but injuries have forced that situation a little bit earlier. But not a guy that, he doesn't get bent out of shape when runs are scored against him. You never see him anything negative on the mound, which makes me think that the moment's not too big for him. And I think this is a perfect moment for him against Povich, who really is in the same boat. Second start in his major league career, allowed 6 earned and 5 1/3 innings and a 6-5 loss to the Jays in his first start. I think the advantage here is with Atlanta in starting pitching, and I know one team's going one way and one's going the other, but this number indicates to me that Atlanta is the side, so we're going to take the Braves plus the $1.10. And game number 3, 9:40 Eastern Time, 9:07, 9:08, Chicago White Sox against the Seattle Mariners. Mariners massive favorite. 247 is your consensus number. 7.5 over minus $1.05. Jonathan Cannon against Bryce Miller. Odds makers have pushed this total up to 7.5 a little bit, and even though we have 2 of the league's worst offensives, I was really hoping we were going to find a 7 on this, but nah, it was there for a second on some smaller books, but really consensus number was 7.5, and I was like, wow, okay. I didn't think we were going to have to deal with that. So anyway, 7.5 doesn't matter when you're making this bet because you have to get to 8 anyway. Bettors are all over the over in this one. 83% of the money is on the over. And that's because the Sox are on an 8 of 9 overrun, not because they're hitting the ball, it's because their pitching is horrible. And the Mariners have cashed 4 straight over themselves after 38 of their first 61 games went under. So both of these teams are kind of on a little bit of an overrun, which sometimes I like to go the other way on that. But with Cannon on the mound, he's a guy that's given up 10 earned runs in his last 11 2/3 innings. Miller owns a 5.72 ERA in his last 5 starts, including his last start where he gave up 7 earned runs and a 10-9 loss. So we're going to go with the over minus 7.5. We're getting a friendly juice here, minus $1.05. And before we close the show, I wanted to talk about something that came up in the chat again today, and it's fairly important to talk about. I'm just kind of going off the cuff. I don't have anything prepared really as far as this is concerned, but it is really important when people talk about, well, how do I overcome losses? And guys, not only is baseball the most difficult sport to wager on, it is the most difficult sport mentally, day in and day out. It is, especially when the NHL and NBA kind of dwindle down to like 4 teams, and really it's just baseball, and it is a grind, and it is something that it's very difficult sometimes, and this is where people get killed during baseball season and they get killed during football season. And there's it because we're playing games emotionally, and we're not treating this as a business. We're not waking up every day and saying, okay, how much money do I have in my business? This is what I have, regardless of what I could have, which means I could pull it from another source. Sometimes sources you don't want to be pulling it from. And I could, make up what I did yesterday. And betting so much is about, well, how do I feel better inside after what I just went through yesterday? And it's very difficult to stay disciplined. I had somebody ask me today, well, how do you overcome these losses? How do you stay even keeled? And believe me, I've been doing this for 32 years in this city of Las Vegas. It has not always been this way. I can tell you when I first started doing this, and I wanted so badly to establish a name that, anytime anybody in the industry would give me a shot, I lived and died with every loss, and the losses were so much harder than the wins, and through it all, and you kind of also mix in the fact that you're still trying to figure things out. I was kind of just kind of a kid at the time, and I'm still trying to figure this out. I knew I was, from what people say, very good with math, good with numbers, very good with analytics, very good with deciphering information, which has all helped me in this business. But like any poker player will tell you, you have to go through a long period of time of losses before it clicks in your brain, well, don't do that anymore. Don't do this anymore. It's, you've heard discussions about bankroll forever about if you don't have the bankroll, don't play. That's as simple as that. Or play within your bankroll. I don't care if you have $100 or you have $200 and you have to play $5 a game. That's your bankroll. And here's a great rule of thumb. If you play a game and you lose and it hurts, like it hurts too much, you played too much. It's as simple as that. This is a business that you need to maintain. This is not something that you almost have to get to the point where you have to be removed from it. And it's very difficult too, especially when you throw in the fact that, we grew up fans. This is why a lot of people get into this business. It's a tough business, but we get into it because it's the thing that brings us closer to a sport that we weren't talented enough to play. That's why we get into this. That's why I got into it. But it is discipline, and I hate using that word, but there's no other word to describe it. And we've talked about everybody's heard about discipline, money management. Those things are 1,000% true when it comes to baseball. And so, if you're taking games too hard and you're letting it affect your life, you're letting it affect your relationships, you're letting it affect your job, then you're playing too much. It's not you're not managing your business well, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So you have to dial it back, and you have to like, we go through these handicapping tips every day. And the reason why I go through them is this is exactly the process of how I got better. I went through, hey, look, what happens when this happens? What happens when that happens? And then I started to say, okay, historically, what happens when this happens? And then I started to see the pattern. And I started to say, okay, well, I see, for instance, I see that favorites win a lot in baseball. Favorites win the mass majority of games. So you would think in your head, well, I'm just going to bet favorites the rest of the time, right? It seems so simple. It's not simple, because then when you got to lay $1.80 in games, you've got to win, two games to overcome that. So now you're being forced to win 67% of your games, which is unheard of. You have to say, okay, well, now I know I got to dial that money line back. Maybe I dial it back to $1.20, $1.30. I don't go anything over that. And this is what I do. I look at my card, and of course, all the totals are in play. This is why I play a lot more totals and sides, because I get a fair number with my totals. But if you're a side player, just throw out anything that's above $1.50. Just even some guys will say $1.30. I like to give myself a little bit more room with $1.50. Throw that completely out. That dwindles your card right down. And then you say, okay, this specific handicap technique has worked over a long period of time. And I've developed a website that has, or not a website, but a database that has all these numbers. And I have another company that I pay that gives me all these numbers. because I want to know if I have an idea about something, like when we go through, hey, what happens when a pitcher has a line drive percentage that's too high or too low? I mean, does that affect the number in any way? I've been able to go through that and kind of decipher that information. And not only do you have to decipher that information for whether it's successful this year, but it is better to go back 3 years and say, not only has it been successful this year, but it's been great over the last 3 years. Then you really got a trend. Then you want to mark that down. You want to put that piece of the pie in, I don't know, something like that. But anyway, you want to hang on to that. So now you got something, and then you try it out a little bit. And I can't tell you, and I'll finish this up, but I can't tell you how many notebooks I had of trying things out. Like if things so simple like which pitcher has a better ERA going into this game. What was the results when I just played that? I mean, I had all kinds of like trends on every day on the same game just to see which one would work. And this is the tug of war that you constantly have. And even with all that information and all that experience, it is still a back and forth with these odds makers every single day. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but you want to turn a profit. You want to grind out a profit. And that's why you pay guys, not the guys that scream and yell, not the guys that, I've hit 88% over the last 3 years, that sort of thing. Not talking about those guys. I'm talking about the guys that will tell you that they've won 55% over the last 7 days. They've won, 62% over the last 30. I mean, and verifiable numbers. Those are the guys that are working, and that's why you pay a handicapper, whether it's me or you pay somebody else. I know everybody on this site gives 1,000% every single day. We watch sports, we come prepared, we make a lot of notes. I'm constantly, you can ask everybody in my house, I'm constantly at my computer pounding away on things. That's why you pay a handicapper. So I want you guys to be able to do this on your own. Honestly, I want you to be able to run your own business. That'd be great. I want you to find success. I want you to take vacations and have cars and do things. But in order to do that, you have to do things the right way. And you start out with a bankroll, whether it's $200 or it's $20,000, and you say, I'm going to play 1%, 2% of my bankroll, and that's all I'm going to do. And I'm going to manage this. And it's a lot easier to manage that bankroll when you're up than when it is when you're down. Because when you're up, you're saying, okay, I'm doing well. My business is doing well. But when you're down, that's when you're like, oh, I got that feeling in my gut. And if you have that feeling in your gut, you haven't been in the business long enough. If you, believe me, all losses hurt, but then you put them in a little shoebox, you put them in a compartment, and you say, okay, I'm confident enough in myself that I am going to turn this around, no matter how many units I'm down or whatever. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't have a great National Hockey League season. I'm decent in hockey. I finished up amazing, but it's only because I kept on doing the things that I knew that made me successful over the previous years. Not great to begin with. This is all played by humans. This is all, these sports we could be decided by the bounce of the ball every single day, or the redirection of the puck. Numbers will always just tell you where you've been. They'll never tell you where you're going. Too many people rely on numbers, but that's really all we have. And so it's relax, stay disciplined. If you do this every single day, you got games every day. You don't have to, just because a game, there's a magnitude of a game where your favorite team is playing, it doesn't mean you put more on a game. That happens all the time. I know that doesn't apply to the majority of us, but that does happen all the time. And I want you guys to find success. I wish you could see the work that I put in to just even doing this video. I want you to find success, because that's what it's about. I don't want you to go out there lost. I can't tell you how many people I've seen just walk up to the sportsbook and look up and they're making their picks. This is how they're making their picks. They're guessing. You deserve better than a guesser. So, and a lot of you guys are knowledgeable about sports. A lot of you guys could do this, But it's not about being able to pick winners, especially when we talk about baseball. It's that battle inside. And a lot of you know what I'm talking about. The one in your gut, the one in your head. You win that battle, then you're on the other side. Then you're on your way to managing your bankroll, not having your bankroll manage you. Simple as that. I hope I've covered everything. Went a little long tonight. I appreciate it. If you have any further questions, please don't hesitate to ask on the YouTube page. Please go to pickdawgz.com. Get involved with one of my many packages available, including my all access pass. Gives you every play that I release for one low price. And tonight's Wednesday recap of your free winners: Milwaukee minus $1.10, Atlanta plus $1.10, Chicago White Sox, Seattle over 7.5 minus $1.05. That does it for today's show. Thank you to everyone who continues to watch on a daily basis. That the amount of views has gone up, really gone through the roof. Must be doing something. I don't know. Maybe it's the tips. It's got to be the tips. But I appreciate each and every one of you. Please feel free to leave a comment one way or the other. I'll always appreciate every one of them. For Against the Public, I'm Dana Lane. All the best to you and your plays on Wednesday.